To offer more on this story is the investigative reporter for watchdog.org, Kathryn Watson. Kathryn, we welcome you to America's Forum, and we thank you for Skyping in this morning from Virginia. And I guess Virginia is the place where this story is going down, huh?
It is, yeah. I am actually in the northern part of the state, close to DC, but this is all taking place basically on the border, a bordering county between Virginia and North Carolina. In Virginia, a little tiny town of 1,300 people that has an old shuttered college that closed last year. The federal government thought, well, this would be a perfect opportunity to house these kids. When the townspeople found out about it, they were not too happy.
So the townspeople said, hold on a second, Uncle Sam, you can't do that. And so what happened then?
Right. Well, this was back in June that this all started coming out. The shuttered college had actually already signed the contract with the federal government. Things were good to go. Then on June 19th of this year, they decided to have a last-minute town hall where basically more than 1,000 people in a town of 1,300 in a county of just 17,000 people showed up to say, hey, wait a minute, this is a problem. So the feds actually backed off. There wasn't any vote or anything like that from the city council or anything along those lines. The federal government just said, okay, we're going to respect this decision. The townspeople have concerns. We're going to back off. But now, several months later, a fair housing group that's based in Virginia and the college that would have been getting $160,000 a month to house these kids, the college is very much in debt. They decided to go ahead and file a discrimination complaint, basically saying that the town, the county, and the county sheriff discriminated against these children and financially hurt the college by discriminating against people based on their national origin.
As you're laying out the facts of this case, Kathryn, we're looking at footage from out in California, in Murrieta, California, where heretofore I don't believe a complaint has been filed, but as you just laid this out, sounds to me like you've got politics and money for the shuttered school coming to bear in this fair housing complaint that's been levied against the sheriff and the people of that town.
Yeah, and money does very much, or can at least very much, come into play in this. We uncovered a place in Alexandria, actually not too far from where I live, where they've had a contract for months and months to house these children, even before this became a crisis with much attention to it, at least. And basically someone from our city, one of our city spokespeople, said, hey, this is a great financial benefit for our town, for our city, because we don't have to foot as many of the bills. This covers a lot of our costs to run this detention center and do other things in the city. So yeah, there is definitely incentive for nonprofit groups and others to say, hey, wait a minute, we want our fair share of this money.
And Kathryn, as you continue your investigations for watchdog.org, we've got about a minute left. Sounds to me like the premise is out there. If funding was in place, how could the administration have been caught by surprise with the influx of these illegals? We got about a minute left. You got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was much of a surprise to anyone who was paying much attention. Certainly there could be some blind eyes that were turned. But now that it's become an issue with national attention, and we've heard some experts say, as the weather cools down, we'll probably see another influx, things slow down just a little bit with kids crossing the border, mostly teenagers crossing the border illegally. But yeah, I don't think that it's something that was completely unknown.
Well, fair enough, Kathryn. Tell you what, we're going to ask you to stay with us. Following the break, we want to come back and talk a little more in depth about what went on with this tiny, now shuttered school on the Virginia-North Carolina state line and the national implications of that story. So, Kathryn, we'll ask you to stay with us, okay?
Sounds good.
Good enough. As Kathryn hangs in, we ask you to as well. Why don't you tweet me your comments on this story to Newsmax TV, #America's Forum, and we'll continue after this.